So I decided to make a video about how to make a dipole antenna out of a PVC T connection. So here you can see the bottom piece that I'm going to use for the connector. This is where the connector, or the actual connector, is going to go in there, the SO239, and then we have both of the end caps that go on this side, which will hold these eye bolts for strain relief. And then I have an attempt to put this through the inside of this T connection so that I can have a way to connect and disconnect the elements of the antenna. Just an idea. So roughly, I'm gonna start making some of the drills, some of the holes for the eye bolts. That is a 1/4 of an inch. The drill's already set up for that, so let's see how that goes. Using things like this can help me to actually have the hole aligned and perpendicular. Let's see how that ended up. It's actually pretty good. Take the first nut, put it in all the way. Take washer. Then on the other side, take flat washer, split washer. Then there's one of these locking nuts. Challenging to put it down in there, so I'm probably going to put it in the socket first. Yep. Just give it a tug. Seems pretty solid in there. One down. Set the other one up. Looking for the 1/4 inch one. And I have this kind of sort of marked in the center. Pretty clean. Do the second one. Same concept. Take the first nut, push it all the way up, make it tight. Flat washer. Flat washer on the inside. Split washer. You know the trick already. is number 2. And then this third one is going to go on the top of the T. In the event that we have to use it, pull from a tree, like some 550 cord or some sort of paracord one. And so the third one is going to go on top, like we already discussed. And this one is going to be a little more tricky to hold down in there. Still a 1/4 inch. Trying to center it as much as possible. It's fairly easy. So the reason why it's kind of easy to set this, even though this is an oval shape, is because of the bottom side of this. It's a bead groove. It's pretty cheap and fancy too. Right, that looks like the center. Feels pretty snug. Don't worry about that. A little bit right there. All right, so top hole, eye bolt. We try to follow the same concept. Make it tight, not too tight because we don't want to get it off the threads. Washer. Flat washer. Split washer. And all these are 1/4 inch. Of course, you can make it whatever you want. Like, this is just what I'm using. Cool. Look at that. A little bit snug. Let the wrench do its thing. There we go. Cool, that looks pretty good. A little more straight. Oh. Fancy. So essentially this is what we want. These are just strain release or pull-up points. The cable is also going to have a hook coming from here for the element, and they will be connected on either side of the actual of this vertical piece. Next thing, we'll do the hole, drill the hole for the connector. I still don't know which size that's going to be, so it's going to be trial and error. I won't waste your time with that, so I'll pause it real quick. All right, so as safe as possible, I have secured the T connector and put my little assistant right here. Cool. So that worked out. These holes right here, as I mentioned before, are for this craziness. Just tighten off to avoid this from coming off, since it's going to be on the inside. This will probably come out later, so I can crimp on the cable and then put some solder into it. Let's see how this goes. Sits very well. We'll do flat washer, pressure washer, nuts. And then the whole reason for this, double washers, wing nut. So what that's going to do, it's allow me to connect my element, terminate my element with one of these, and simply slide this into one side, tighten up the wing nut, and that's going to allow me to attach and remove the elements from the actual antenna once it's connected. And remember, this is simply to remove the strand from the cable. Once I put the hooks in here, the rest of the wire is going to loop into here, and then same thing on the other side for the other element. Essentially, we have center conductor. It will go on one side, and then we have the outer conductor, which will go on the other side. That's simply just left and right, immaterial to which side it is. We're looking pretty good. Let's do the other side. Again, this is going towards the inside. And that's how they would look on the inside. Flat washer. Somebody's bored today. Flat washer, pressure washer, nuts. Give it a tug again. I will take these apart later on. Thanks for the pressure washer. It's minimum pressure to hold it. Washer, washer. Cool. Washer, washer. Cool. It's not bad, not bad. All right, so we've got a lot of stuff going on since the last short of the video. So I did find a step drill bit. Finally, I've already pre-drilled with a 1/4 inch drill bit so that it can actually stay centered, and this hole is going to be for the connector to actually be put in here. I finally made my mind about not using a wood iron or a wood burnishing iron to melt the solder into the connection. Since this is going to be an internal connector, I really didn't want to risk it. So I ended up getting this cheap El Cheapo 2-auto soldering iron on Amazon so that I can actually get this job done. So the cable I'm using, 14 gauge wire, stranded. I've already cut a few pieces down here with my homemade helping hands so that I can tin the connectors and try it out. It's way better than using the other stuff. This stuff is not made for it. All right, so I would just simply secure this. All right, and slowly work it out. Look at that. Perfect. So it sits nicely on it. Just there's a little wiggle room. If we were to test it out with the other connector, with the plug itself, plenty of room and clearance. Alright, so I'm gonna get a little Sharpie. Got it. Just finding ways for it to be centered and not just everywhere. These are number 6. That comes to 9/64. Test fit, since all this stuff's gonna come out, so I can solder it. It is worth to know. I think this is the smallest one I have to countersink these holes, just barely. It's still not perfect, but I'm satisfied with it. Drilling all this stuff to finally soldering some connections, which I've been looking forward to. So the only connection is going to be in a center conductor. That's going to be, I want to put some solder in there first, tin the ends of it, then join the two. Once that's completed, then we'll do the other end for the other connector. All right, so I'm almost all done here. After finishing step by step, I just realized that the camera was not on. So we get a watered down version of what the video was supposed to be, but still, for all those out there that need some assistance or just to see how this stuff went, I'll show you what we got here. So inside we have the ground inside, if you want to call it, but the actual outer side of the connector that's already soldered and bolted down in there. Also, you have the center conductor that is soldered straight into the middle without any other connections. On the other side, we have the bolt and the connector also soldered to avoid that connection from moving inside, because again, this is an internal connection. This took a long time to heat up, so I want to thank everyone on the ham community that suggested for me not to use the wood burner and instead just acquire an actual solder. The wood burner tool was about 25 watts, and this little rig right here puts out about 80 watts. Even with this 80 watts, it was still taking a long time for the solder to actually melt without making connection with the iron, which is something I did not know. So I want to thank all of those that suggested the proper technique. So thank you for assisting me in that process. It actually helped out a lot. And I am extremely satisfied with the product and how it ended up. All right, so we have these connectors. Now we go back to the T connection. And this little thing I found on Amazon for like $30 or $40. There's way too many out there to select. So we have center conductor on one side and the outer conductor on the other side. I do have to make a permanent marker, not with a Sharpie, but probably with the wood burning tool to make note of what is the center conductor and what is the outer conductor. The reason why that is important is because I may want to utilize this dipole in a vertical configuration rather than using it as a horizontal configuration. In order to do that, I will have to know where is the center conductor so that I can put that vertically and then ground the other side. Come on, bolt, cooperate. Stop resisting. You're going in one way or another. Completely unnecessary. So, as in the previous part, flat washer, split washer, nut, and make that tight. I'll leave that after I put the other one in. Cute. Flat, flat. Wing nut. Same thing on the other side. This wire right here will be the same wire I would use for the antenna. The only difference is that I would use the same connectors, the same blue connectors I had here. Terminate that, and also what I was mentioning before about having some clips. So these clips are gonna go, but this is just to give you a visual. That should take the strain off of it. while this part right here will go with the blue connector into the nut right here. Obviously, I'm going to glue that part right there so that doesn't happen. I could also use some screws, top and bottom, to avoid that from pulling out. But I'm going with glue and primer later on once I complete and test all these parts. That will be the last thing I do. Now on the inside, I wanted to show you how it looked like. So we have center over here and outer conductor right here. And that is pretty good. So I'm just going to wrap those around in there. Try not to put too much strain. Beautiful. Cool. That looks really good. As far as the connector, I did wanted to bring something up. Typically, civilian connectors are this SL239s with the PL239s, I think it's what it's called, what is the matching side for this, which they look like this. However, for military radios, we use a different, I think it's like 259, and it looks like this. This is the same connector that's on your OE254, COM201, and those kind of radios. So let's go from commercial to military as such. Cute. All right. That is all I have for this piece of the video. I hope that you liked the video. There was a lot of work put into the small video. I want to thank all the people that helped me in one way or another to put together this idea for constructing this antenna, to actually get the resources and put the idea into play. I did a lot of research. I watched a lot of YouTube, and I studied a lot, trying to come up with a design that worked for me. Shout out to Michael KB9 VBR and Dave KG0ZZ. Those two gentlemen and their videos helped me put together this idea. So this antenna was inspired based on their videos. I hope that you learned something from everything you watched out here, if only just to watch me struggle. But I do hope that it motivates you to build your own antenna. I would love to see it. If you have any questions, obviously, you can always reach out to any other videos on the channel. If you are in the military and you want to expand your knowledge for HF or any radio whatsoever, I ask that you follow the Military Amateur Radio, the Facebook page, and also if you want to learn more about HF specifically, follow the Military HF on YouTube. Those two resources are great to expand your knowledge. You can always ask your questions and get your feedback for what you're trying to accomplish or what you're trying to learn. All right, so that is all for my video. I hope that you enjoyed it. Kilo Delta 2 Yankee Alpha Echo out.